Big news coming out of Michigan State as athletic director Alan Haller. He is stepping down of his duties after a little over 3 years. What does this mean and what are the next steps? Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning into this little extra bonus episode of Locked On Spartans. We just couldn't let this news that broke by the Free Press on Thursday morning just go the entire day before we talk about it. No, so this will be a little few-minute long episode. We'll get more into it tonight with Justin Thind of 24/7 Sports and also bring in a great game, MSU athlete or Kentucky Derby jockey. But guys, let's just talk about this news right now because this is it's a big one. When your athletic director steps aside, and as of now, no reason given. This was just a report broken by Free Press. We haven't heard a statement by Alan Haller or anyone in the university. So let's just work under the guise that, hey, Alan Haller is just done with it. He's just done being the athletic director. He wants to step aside because, what a landscape college sports is right now, which I think is a perfectly reasonable reason to step away here. I'm not calling the man a quitter, not saying that, he was never cut for this job. I'm just saying that, man, it is the Wild West out there in college sports. And a guy that has been athletic director since 2021, and I say that year to really just tie in everything that's happened, taken over right after COVID, and you're still feeling the ramifications of that COVID era, even in 2021 and the years that have followed. Also, what's happened since 2021? Transfer portal has gotten Looney Tunes. NIL has gotten even crazier, and he provided stability to turbulent times in 2021. Still has provided a semblance of that too, but oh man, so much has changed, and it's on to better things for Alan Haller. Hopefully he finds, solace in his next step. And hey, Michigan State, could they vault themselves into a next chapter to be one of these top competitors in this new ever-changing landscape of college sports? So let's just talk about Alan really quick, what he did for this university. We're going to go through the good, some things that I necessarily didn't like. We're going to try to paint a good and fair picture of Alan Haller here. And the good is just what I said, guys. Especially taking over for Bill Beekman, a guy that was kind of like a substitute teacher, athletic director, who did fine enough in his role too. You talk about turbulent times. Billy B. Oh boy, those were some rocky roads that he had with dealing with things in the heart of COVID. That was pretty nuts. The Antonio retirement. Anyway, this is about Alan Haller, not Bill Beekman. But still, you take over for him. Man, that is taking a shaky wheel right there. And it's also right at the coming of age for NIL, the transfer portal. And in the midst of that, hey guys, women's soccer has never been better. Gymnastics, hockey is doing really well. He helped usher in all those Munn Ice Arena renovations. He hired Adam Nightingale, which, look, you guys know me. I'm not a hockey expert. I like to think that that's worked out pretty well so far. And, well, one of the sports that everyone really cares about, men's basketball obviously just had a great season too. So, look, if we're going to dog him for things that happened bad under the athletic administration, even though men's basketball is largely predicated by Tom Izzo, you still got to throw a bone to Alan Haller there. And also, one of the biggest things you could do as an athletic director is hire a football coach. And look, I know that the full report card is still to be determined under Jonathan Smith. Going into a second year. The first year, we've had enough episodes about our thoughts on that. But one thing is just not just even a question. We're not going to rewrite history here. That was in the offseason when he hired Jonathan Smith, one of the best hires available that you could have possibly made. It's very hard to go out and find anyone, experts, an analyst in the offseason that really did not like that Jonathan Smith hire. And the way he did it, very little fanfare. Even though they had weeks to make their next hire, very little leaks coming out of the athletic department. And I think that's something to be credited for under Alan Haller. Now, as we transition into the things that, you know what? Maybe Michigan State is set for better things here in the future. And the first point, I want to be very careful here because this is a depends who you talk to situation, but it truly depends who you talk to, where the donors are at in relationships with Alan Haller. Do they like his leadership? Do they want to give their money to Michigan State with him as the leader? Again, Like, not only is it a depends on who you talk to situation, I'm sure this happens at every single school. People with a lot of money have a lot of opinions on how their money should be used. But you heard some smoke about that, is that maybe that largely the majority of donors weren't thrilled with him, but whatever. Could NIL have been marketed more? I, for one, of course, think so. Like, especially me, a big marketing guy. Like, I think that there could have been a louder voice for the direction of NIL, how fans can donate, reaching out to fans after big games. But I will also say this, is that NIL and donations largely come from that top 1% of the fan base. The fans that are in tax brackets that I will never even dream of. So is Alan thinking of like the little guys like us and thinking, oh, you know what? We really got to make sure we get a newsletter out there so they know where to donate. When like 90% of your donations are coming from people that you just have face-to-face interaction with, had the fancy banquets with. Again, that's a lot of gray areas there, but yes, could it have been better to have fans like ourselves feel more included, have us actually know where you can donate? Yeah, I think so, and that kind of just falls under him too. Now, this is where I'm going to get into some things that maybe don't actually matter and are more of optics things, but you guys know me. I'm a fan. I'm a fanatic. You know, I'm not always rational, but for example, like when I see the $150 million Olympic arena being announced, it's going to be built in the next few years. It's going to house volleyball, wrestling, gymnastics. In a world where $150 million of athletic department money could be spent literally anywhere else, no disrespect to those programs. Volleyball, they play at the Breslin Center. That's a fine establishment. Gymnastics, I know they're in Jenison right now. Let's just move them over to Breslin Center full time. In wrestling, you want me to just show my opinions right now? I would just axe that program altogether. Like, they're at the bottom of the Big Ten every single year. Anyway, do we need an arena for that? Or can that $150 million be used for, I don't know, renovating Spartan Stadium? Or, I don't know, putting that in the pool of revenue sharing? Or any way that you could use $150 million? I don't know. I'm clearly not the good, CFO guy right now, but surely there are better ways you could use that giant sum of money than, making sure wrestling has a new place to do their meets at. I don't know. Maybe someone else has a better argument for that than me, but optically, I'm not sure if we need that project right now. Also, speaking of optics, again, I'm sorry to sound like I'm just burying the hatchet in this guy, Alan Haller, because I largely think he was a pretty solid athletic director. Solid. Not great, not terrible, solid. But when the CMU thing happens, you're watching Central Michigan be 100% complicit in letting Connor Stallions on your sideline. And you voice disappointment because you haven't also heard anything from Central Michigan leadership. Not only have they not been punished, we haven't even heard anything. Okay, that's great that you say that you're disappointed. Let's put actions to those words. Why did I just see baseball play against Central Michigan and also lose to them? Why is any sport playing against Central Michigan? It is a favor what we do with the Chippewas. Them pulling that circus act a few seasons ago, that should 100% be punished. Don't just talk about that's not right and we expect better. Well, make it better. You're the bully. Let's get a bully in this athletic department, just like after the post game against Michigan this year. Now, look, you plainly see in the video that obviously something happened with perhaps a Michigan running back in that skirmish. And the reason I know that is not just that I saw it with my two functioning eyeballs, but the athletic director also said that, hey, we had someone on our staff that was stepped on, and we're going to make sure that punishment is going to be brought to Michigan. We will make sure accountability is held. We will not stand for this. And then, the next day, Big Ten comes out and says, be like that sometimes. We couldn't really see anything. Oh, well, good luck next game. And then your response is just, okay, well, I guess that's their decision. Okay, well, I don't agree with it, but that's fair. Okay, let's all move along. I'm not going to call him a straight-up jellyfish, but just a little bit of spine in a little bit of situations would be great. Now, these are two things I don't have an issue with, but I know other fans do. The game's being moved to Ford Field. You guys know my opinions on that. I, for one, think that's a solid move, okay? And then also the Mel Tucker thing. Some people want to rake Alan Haller over the coals for the Mel Tucker extension or for his departure, but what do you want what do you want Alan to do in this situation? He made the right move by extending him when the rumors were swirling that SEC schools, namely LSU, were looking to hire Mel Tucker. And if you're in the midst of a 10-win season with a young gun upcoming coach, you extend him in this day and age of college sports. That is objectively the correct thing to do. Now, did Allen instruct Mel how to use his phone at that late night Florida hotel room? I don't think so. So that's why I can't fault Allen for anything that happened with the Mel Tucker situation. All the fallout I thought was handled just fine. As fine as it could be with that whole circus going on. So, guys, overall, look, he took over in a crazy landscape. Overall, to me, he seems solid. I hope I've been loud with that. I hope I've been, just giving him enough praise. And also just kind of, okay, well, this is maybe where we could get better around the edges. NIL can always get better. I don't care what program you are, but you can always get better with that. But I feel like, hey, get someone in here that has at least a stronger grasp of that. And also a athletic director that just also does a little bit of walking and not just talking when, like, adverse-filled moments happen. So, look, overall, yeah, that's my opinion, is that best of luck to him. I thought he was solid, but also, like, when I say my opinion, just like we said, my opinion doesn't really largely matter. The opinion that matters is the donors, the ones with the big bucks, the ones that are spending money. So that's not to say that this is all driven by the donors or that NIL should rule everything, but it certainly should rule a large portion of the pie. Whether that's good or bad for college sports, that's a different conversation. But hey, guys, that is what it is. So now what? I got to say, maybe this did feel a little inevitable in hindsight, just because President Kevin Guskowitz, he took over from North Carolina not too long ago, and he's been shaking up some things at the academic side. He certainly has a care for sports. This is not one of the presidents of a school that couldn't care any less about what's going on in the fields. No, I think President Kevin, he actually sees how important sports are. So is he going to bring in one of his guys from North Carolina? Because he's been in North Carolina before MSU for quite some time. Will it be Bubba Cunningham, the athletic director of North Carolina? I don't know. He's been there since 2011. The guy's in his mid-60s. Does he want a new chapter? Probably not. But will it be someone from the Tar Heel program? Who knows? Could be. I know he has ties to Pittsburgh. But yeah, I would expect and hope that he gets someone maybe at a Power 4 or a Power 5 school that isn't already in the SEC or Big Ten that wants to take a step up into these two mega conferences now. So, of course, guys, we're going to be updating this throughout the entire summer. And this is another good thing about this, too, is that, Haller steps away, probably one of the best times of the calendar year. The break in the academic calendar year, the break, so to speak, I know baseball and softball are still going on in the athletic calendar year, but yeah, you got a lot of runway to work with. They got a lot of tarmac, whatever cliche you want to use. They've got some time on their side, and it's going to work not just for Michigan State, but for anyone that wants to leave their school right now. It would be a mutual splitting of ways on their end as well. So that could only help Michigan State in this instance. All right, guys, we will be back tonight. Again, Justin Thin at 24/7 Sports, not just talking about Alan Haller, but also Justin had a nice little night chumming it up with Tom Izzo. We're going to get the scoop on that. And then, hey, we got a great, awesome, one of my favorite guests of all time, for MSU athlete or Kentucky Derby jockey. That's right. It's my wife. She joins. It's a great time. All right, guys, we'll see you later tonight. Love you all. Take care of yourselves. Go green.